Okay,
And
welcome
you
everybody.
hit the record button. All right.
I
You're
did.
like 2 for 2 today.
Yeah, 2 for 2.
It's
It's
going
going
to
to
be
be
a
a good
good day.
day. So welcome everybody. This is our fifth webinar, How to Sell Without Selling. How you doing today, Matt?
I'm doing great, Ted. How are things in Northern California?
The rain has stopped. We're going to dry out. And it's a good thing.
And there's more snow in the mountains.
Yeah. So, Matt, we had some questions come in after yesterday's call.
Okay.
So one person, she said she's very interested in your program, but she's in the middle of restructuring her business. Will the program be offered at a later date?
Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an example of how to handle when you have objections when it comes to selling. And the first thing is that every objection that you get, and I'm going to answer that in a minute, Ted, but every objection that you get is actually telling you something that you didn't answer in your presentation. Okay. So what this is the, these are all the things that when you're getting these, what happens a lot of time, people look at objections and go, they said, I look at objections going, awesome, I'm getting feedback of how I can get better. Okay. So when you get the question of, is this going to be offered at a later date? You have to go back to this. Okay. Reason why you got to go back to the values pyramid is I'll tell you a quick little story. When I was first starting out and I was a pitch man in front of the room. So I used to go out on the road and I would, we've all been in these events and they're pitchathons, like come learn how to make $1 million in whatever, in real estate. And you'd go and it was really, every 90 minutes there was another person pitching you something, tax liens, foreclosures, wholesales, the whole thing. We've all been to those events. I'm assuming most of us have been to those events. And anyway, I was mentored by some of the best front of the room pitchmen in the world, like really, really good guys. They took me under my wing. They showed me what to do. I'd record my presentations and I'd fly to Orlando and I'd sit in a hotel room and we'd spend 8 hours breaking down my presentation, like every other week, right? So I became a trained assassin. The problem is that this objection would come up. Well, can I buy it from you later? And you always have these things in the front of the room, and they go, well, you can only buy it if you buy it today. You get this, this, and this. Okay. And the guys in the front of the room would say, oh, hell, if they call the office in a month, I'll give them the same goddamn deal. Da, 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 da. I go, well, isn't that a little inauthentic? And he's like, well, who cares? We're just here to clean their credit card, right? I mean, this is the language this was 10 years ago, 12 years ago. This is like 2006 to 10. My point in this is that really did not resonate with my values, okay? Here's what I can tell you about this, is that Ted and I haven't really specifically talked about that. I will tell you this. We are going to be doing these trainings live. These are going to start next week. I will tell you that Ted and I, based on our feedback, may or may not offer these again. We haven't made the decision, okay? I will tell you that if we decide to offer them again, if we decide to go down that path and we feel like it's going to be worth our time, there's a pretty good chance that the price is probably going to go up, okay? Especially on the bottom end. I mean, would you say that's fair, Ted? I mean, is that kind of consistent with what we've talked about? And I'm putting you on the spot now, and if it's not, then we need to be congruent. But this is, so to answer your question, go ahead, Ted. I mean, we're probably, if this is successful and we want to do this again, we're probably going to raise prices, at least on the bottom one, at least.
Oh yeah. This is bargain basement pricing, to be honest.
Yeah. So you just have to make that decision, right? And I can't make that decision for you. Timing is timing, right? I will tell you this. If you're in a place that you're like, look, I just don't have the money, you really have to kind of make this decision. The reason why you don't have the money is because you're trying to solve the same problem with the same set of tools that you've had that created the problem in the first place. Okay? So you have a choice. In making a sale, I'll tell you right now, closing a sale is almost as good as great sex and cocaine. And I've only done one. I'll let you figure out which one that is, okay? Ted never knows what I'm going to say. Poor Ted, he's over there. What the hell's going to come out of Matt's mouth? But when you close a sale, you feel so much better about yourself. And if you're not making the money that you need to make, then I would suggest you take a really hard look at the skill sets that are lacking, that are preventing you from getting there. And let's say you're generating a small amount of leads, but you're not converting any. And let's say your program's $1,000 a month. Well, look, if we could help you close something for $1,000, what kind of difference is that going to make?
Right.
Then you're going to have that skill set. So, you know, timing, and nothing ever comes along. I should say nothing. Very few things come along at the perfect timing. Sometimes you've got to stop, step back, assess, and say, hey, maybe this is something that's coming because, you know, the powers that be in, or the power that be in the world knows that I need this, and I've got to pay attention to it. So I hope that answers your question.
So the next question is, how long do I have access to the course? And I just, we record everything. You'll have access forever. It won't change. I won't take it away in a month or 6 weeks or whatever. And the good thing about this kind of content, I've taken probably 20 Facebook advertising courses over the years. A lot of times before the course is even over, the course is obsolete because things change so fast.
Yep.
But what Matt's teaching here is things that have been used for hundreds of years. It's traditional, it's selling. You know, you use different technology to get people into your business. You got the internet, you got Facebook, you got LinkedIn, you have Google. They get you to your front door, but you still have to sell them. Selling is not going to change. It's a human relationship and connection, providing value.
And selling, okay, so what we're talking about here is also, this is the same skill set that I use in writing copy. Probably the best skill set I've ever had, the best thing I've ever done, the two best things I've ever done for learning how to write copy are, one, taking the best-selling sales letters of all time and rewriting them by hand in yellow legal pads. I did that for years. Second best thing I've ever done to learn how to sell is sell what I like to call knee-to-knee, face-to-face. Now, face-to-face in this world today can be like this. It can be on the phone. You know, you'll learn a lot more about selling in human psychology when you're selling in an erectile dysfunction clinic, because you see the facial reaction. Okay, I love that'll tell you a lot. The facial reactions, the body language tells you a lot when it comes to selling. And so in today's day and age, you're actually a little bit of a disadvantage, because you're at an advantage because you can see so many people via the phone, but you're at a disadvantage because you can't see their body language. And so you have to learn how to listen. You have to learn how to see with your ears. Okay. And so, you know, learning this skill of learning how to sell, once you have the skill of learning how to sell, you'll never go hungry. I've taught all of my kids how to sell, even my daughter, the introvert, who hates to, you know, she prefers reading a book, but she can sell. And guess what? She's very good at selling. You know, and so they're always going to have a job. They're always going to have money coming in.
So the next question, do you offer a guarantee? Yes, there's a 30-day guarantee. It's a 30-day course, so you can take the whole course. If you don't like it, you can get your money back, which some people
guarantees
do.
Guarantees are funny, right? Because like you hear, oh, we got to have a guarantee. You got to have a guarantee. You know, here's my guarantee to you. My guarantee to you is this. You go out, you follow what we're going to do. You walk through it. You commit to working on it. You set aside your head trash, because I can't, you know, I'm not a psychologist. I mean, but all of us have head trash, and you've got to take your head trash and those tapes that are going through your head. But I have helped people. I have taken people into my company who have never sold in their life and taught them, and they became $100,000 a month producers for me. This is the stuff that we're going to teach you. Okay. But you've got to get out of your own way. You got to be willing to do the work. And as Ted said, look, if you go through it for 30 days, you're not happy in any way, shape, or form, just let us know. We'll give you a full refund. But after that, some of this has to be on you too. Okay. At some point, you've got to accept responsibility. At some point, you've got to say, I'm going to be gritty enough to do this. I'm going to fight through this. I think a lot of times with today, we're always looking for the guarantee. And the reality is that, you know what, at the end of the day, it comes up to you. It comes down to you. Okay. You've got to be willing to do the work. So, you know, I know that probably goes against the counter. You know, when it comes to writing, when it comes to guarantees, there's usually two schools of thoughts. You give them a huge ass guarantee, or you tell them there's no guarantee. Just go do the work. But we'll give you the 30-day guarantee, and we'll give you some tough love. How about that? Yeah.
So the next question actually leads into today's topic, which is overcoming objections.
Yep.
I have to discuss this with my business partner. Do you have any tips for me to sell the program to him
Have them watch the videos. Don't try and sell it yourself.
My first thought was don't sell the program to them, sell the benefits. If we can learn how to close 2 or 3 more deals a week, what's that worth to your business?
Right. Yeah. So, well, you know what, Ted, I'm going to use the I Love Ted paper. We all love Ted. Can you see that okay?
Yep.
All right. So where's my pen? Here we go. Here's what you got to look at. And whoever is listening, let's just assume, can you all hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, so let's just assume that your average transaction for, let's say, a monthly consulting thing is $1,000, okay? Which, by the way, if you're not charging $1,000, we need to talk about that because your time is worth that. At least a month, I should say. Let's say it's $1,000 a month, okay? And the average time that somebody is going to stick in a program is, let's just say that you really suck, is 6 months. Okay? I'm going to teach you how to, Ted and I are going to teach you how to get these people to stick for 3 years, okay? But let's just say that, you know, you get them in and they're even not a good fit and they only stick for 6 months. It's $6,000. And let's say you invest $997. That's a 6 to 1 ROI, okay? So you got to look at it this way. What is it that's missing in your business? You're listening to this because you're missing out on sales, right? You know you're not closing as much business as you should, and you know you need help closing business. Either that or you just happen to have a whole bunch of extra time in your hands and you wanted to hang out with Ted and I at 12 or 5. So with this, you got to say to yourself, look, is this going to solve the problem, okay? And the people that I'm going to be learning from that are going to teach me how to close more business, do they have the grit? Do they have the track record of doing it? And if you haven't noticed, I got quite a bit of gray hair. I am 50 years old, and I've been selling since I was 16. And I've sold life insurance. I've sold how to get rich in the internet. I've sold how to get rich in real estate. I've sold how to I've done work for Gore Financial, which does, how to invest in penny stocks, oil, gas, all that fun stuff. I've sold in chiropractic. I've sold me to me. I've sold door to door. I've sold from the front of the room. I was a bartender. You have to sell people to buy more drinks. I had a car wash business. Like, I know how to sell. I understand human psychology, right? So this isn't something where I've just read a couple of books. Do I have a ton of books? Heck yes, I got a ton of books. The reality is I've also got a track record of taking people who have never been able to sell and turn them into sales assassins. And that's what we want to do with you. Okay? So,
awesome. Next. That's all the questions we had.
That's it. That's it.
If anyone has any questions, go ahead and type them in too. We'll answer them. But so what are the biggest objections you come to? So say you're selling the $1,000, you overcame that. What if you're selling a $25,000 a month package?
You know what? I have less objections at the higher end than I do at the lower end.
And why is that?
Because you're dealing with a different class of people. First and foremost, when you're selling something at $1,000 a month, people have a lot of head trash. They have a lot of internal head trash. They haven't completely gone to the other side where they know that they can be successful, okay? When you're selling something that's $250,000 or $100,000 for the year, you're selling to people that have been successful, and they understand the power of selling, of hiring somebody who's an expert to show them the way out of to fix another problem, or to show them a new mountain, or a new field that's going to give them a lot of a new oil field that's going to give them a lot of money. And so the psychology of selling somebody the $100,000 thing is really about qualifying them to make sure that they, once you're selling a successful person, it's a completely different ballgame. And then the other thing at that level, it's really about trust. Do they trust you? And trust usually is meeting them face to face, or, track record, things like that. Those all what people say about you, all of those things. But to sell a high-end thing, it's a lot easier to sell because people have confidence in themselves. I think the hardest thing to sell is the thing to the new person who's never done it, who hasn't worked on their own head trash. And so that's, I've always found hiring things is a lot easier. I will tell you this. When I sold the clinics in November, and I have a guy that I coach with, Dr. A, I like to call him. And he goes, what are you going to do next? I said, well, I'm going to restart the coaching and consulting business and the agency. And he goes, okay, so now this is a guy that charges me, I don't know, $500 a month, right? He's actually high priced for that arena. I'd meet with him twice a month. And he goes, so what are you going to charge? Like, you're going to charge like $100 an hour? I'm like, no, I'm going to charge $8,000 a day. He's like, what? And I go, yeah, I'm going to charge $8,000 a day and I'm going to charge $6,000 a month. And he blinked a couple of times and he looked at me and he goes, really? People are going to pay that? I go, yeah, I can make them $200,000 a month. Why wouldn't they? And, I met with him yesterday and go, how's it going? I'm like, well, I've already closed 2 clients. He's like, he just shook his head. My point is that it's easier to sell the higher end stuff than it is to sell the lower end consulting stuff.
Okay.
And you need the lower end stuff to filter people through. Believe me, you need the book, you need all that. Not need it. At some point you want that, but I only need 3 clients to make $18,000 to $25,000 a month. I mean, rather have 3 clients paying me 6 than I would.
Right.
30 clients paying me 1,000.
Yeah, when you do have the lower end clients, they're much more work. It's a big investment for them, so they're always reaching out to you every day. Why didn't we get more business yet? It's like, well,
yeah, they're not very patient sometimes.
We just turned on the ads yesterday. They don't instantly generate money.
Call me back in 3 weeks.
Right.
It's got to marinate.
Yeah.
And when you plant the seed in the field, are you out there yelling at the seed? Why didn't you grow after day 1? No. There's not going to be a harvest sometimes till August. It takes a little bit of time sometimes.
So what's the biggest objection you've overcome in your career?
Wow. Oh, man. Biggest objection that I've ever overcome. It's interesting. A lot of the objections I get are kind of like I wouldn't say standard. Here's the thing, Ted. I rarely like to talk people into something. Okay? Because I find that when I talk people into something, they're not really committed. Because I know I'm very persuasive. Okay? I can be very engaging. I can be very charismatic. I know that. I'm not trying to be cocky. I'm very cognizant of it. And so I'm very careful to make sure that I lay out the reality of what we can do and the reality of what we won't do, and answer all the objections in my presentation. So really at that point, it's just a question of yes or no. So I don't do a whole lot of,
again, twisting.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the Heisman thing, I've got the football, they don't. So I really work hard to make my prospects prove to me that they're worthy to do business with me.
Yeah.
And that's why I really don't deal with like major objections. So
I have the same theory. It's like, I don't want to really make you work with me if you can't afford it, or you won't get the results you think you're going to get. Mm-hmm. I'll just say, no, I'm not going to take your money. You just, I can't help you right now. Here's what you need to do to get to that level where I could help you. And then I'll see them working with my competitors. I'll see them doing that. But some people will work with anyone and take their money.
Yeah, my favorite is, the guy that I'm not going to hire you. And they're like, what? I'm like, I'm not going to let you hire me. What? I'm not taking your money. What do you mean? No, you're going to hire me. I'm like, no, I'm not. God damn it. Nobody ever tells me no. I'm like, well, I just did.
That comes back to your values,
Yeah, it comes back. When I was in the private club business, I actually had a member that was giving my employees a really, really hard time. And he called me an effing liar in front of about 40 people, 40 members. I went upstairs and I cut him a check for his initiation fee. And I refunded his initiation fee. And I said, you are no longer a member of the club. If you'd like to play today, it's a guest fee. And I never had any problems with anybody else in that group ever. The rest of the time I was at that club. I mean, I wasn't a jerk about it, but when you can come from a place of, I don't need you, you're a headache, you're probably better off, go be somebody else's headache, go be somebody else's thorn in the side. You'll find that, and even though your clients won't see that, they're going to know that from you. And it's an incredibly powerful place to be. It's a very, very powerful place to sell from.
Have you read this book yet?
No, I need to.
Persuasion. So this is Robert Cialdini, and he spoke at the Traffic and Conversion Conference.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about all the selling, closing the sale actually comes way at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And he has these examples like they just did random studies where they had a guy stand at a bus stop and start talking to women and trying to ask them out on a date without knowing them. And obviously he didn't have much luck. But they put the same guy in front of a flower shop and he had like a 50% success rate. And it was all
Wow, I got to use that, Ted.
Because psychologically, people associated flowers with romance, so the women think. And it was amazing. They did look with hundreds of people, so it wasn't just a couple of people, but a lot of these studies. Or they had a guy walk down the street with a guitar case and ask people out, and he had a really high success rate, as opposed to a guy just walking down the street with a briefcase.
What about a puppy? How do puppies work? Never mind. You know, it's when we own the clinics, I used to tell our staff that there are 7 hurdles that the prospective patient has to clear before you meet with them as the patient counselor. And, you know, they had to pick up the phone, they had to dial the number, they had to request an appointment, they had to confirm their appointment, they had to drive over here, they had to feel comfortable walking into a clinic that everybody knows is for erectile dysfunction, hoping they don't run into their neighbor. They had to fill out the paperwork, they had to let the doctor examine them, they had to let the doctor inject them in the penis with the medication, they had to let a strange man touch his erection, and then you walk in as a patient counselor. At that point, if you can't close them, you can't work for me. Like and that's confirmed. You know, from a selling standpoint, you have to look at your process. If you're not closing enough sales, you've got to look at the steps within your process that you're missing, because all of those, you have to create hurdles for people to come through in order for you to close them. And every time they clear a hurdle to get to you, they're more likely to close. So I like to have people clear like 5 to 7 hurdles before I'll actually talk with them. Yeah. Meaning make an offer to them. I'll talk to them, but you know, they got to prove themselves worthy. And that's, you know, we'll go into that. That methodology right there, we will go into how to sell without selling. I'll go into that. I believe that's the 3rd session. And it is very powerful. I just gave you a quick overview, but there's a whole psychology to it. It's more than just setting up a bunch of hurdles. You have to set hurdles up that really kind of nail their psychology. And if you miss it and you do it incorrectly, you're going to lose out on your sales. But you set it up correctly, you'll be able to take your fee that you're charging now, let's say $1,000 a month for consulting, or whatever you're doing. I'm just using consulting as an example. And you're going to be able to drive that to $4,000 and $5,000 and $6,000 a month, like that. But you've got to set those hurdles up correctly, and you've got to have the right psychology, and you cannot shortcut that, because when you shortcut it, you're hosed. Right. So I believe that's going to be in the 3rd session that we're going to set up. And guess what? It has to tie back into your values. Okay. Okay. So let me give them the website. Yep. Go ahead, Ted.
Any other questions? Type them in the chat or on Facebook. Go ahead and type them in. But why don't you go through the course with us? I'll share this screen.
Yeah. So the website again is dmclassroom.com/SWS. And we have 3 different levels. We have the basic level, we have the advanced level, and we have the platinum level. And I'm going to walk through these very quickly for you. Or I'm going to walk through these. I'm not going to walk through them quickly. I'm going to walk through them. How about that? So in the basic, it's $297 a month. And what you're going to get with this is that we'll have a private Facebook group. There will be weekly Q&A calls, kind of like this. But we have 4 key modules that we're going to go through. The first one is module 1, who do you want as a client and who you want out of your life. Now you're going to notice that we put in there who do you want out of your life, because most of you need to get people out of your life to get the people in your life that you need. And that goes true with your clients. Second session is going to be about breaking down barriers. How do you soften the beachhead? All right. This is where we talked about nobody argues with the doctor when it comes to their surgery. You know what Ted was just talking about with regards to the persuasion book with Cialdini. Breaking down the barriers, softening the beachhead. You know, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be setting up a lot of psychological triggers. We're going to talk about how the brain is made up. We're going to talk about their fight and flight responses mechanisms, about how that plays into We'll talk specifically about how you only have just a little bit of time. You literally have just a few minutes before they are going to decide whether they're going to run or they're going to listen. And so you have to set up and structure things specifically so that that is the case. Then the third and fourth modules are going to be how to sell without selling part 1 and how to sell without selling part 2. And in part 1, we're going to go into the whole Cialdini influence about how we set up all these different hurdles for people to clear before you actually make a presentation to them. And then how to sell without selling part 2 is we're going to dive into the psychology of, and the process and the steps, the actual steps about how you close somebody into a 3-year agreement with you. Because really what you want is 3-year agreements. You don't want to be wondering if they're going to pay you this month. You want people committing to work with you for 3 years. So that's $297. Great, great value. That price will, I'm going to tell you right now, that price will go up once we decide to release this out to the whole general public. The advanced module, which is 4 modules plus bonuses. In that, you're going to get everything that's in the basic module, plus Ted will personally optimize your LinkedIn profile. That's a $997 value. Ted did that for me, and I've seen a huge increase in the number of people that are asking, wanting to connect. I get a lot of people connecting with me saying, hey, I really like your profile. I'd like to talk with you. I've had a number of conversations with other folks that could wind up being partners. I will tell you also that I picked up 2 speaking gigs in front of other for direct pay doctors, and they don't have a lot of like how to run your business speakers at these events. They contacted me, saw the profile, contacted me, and asked me to speak at the event. One of them is also asking me to, I'm contributing a monthly article to them. And they have a database of like 95,000 of my prospects. Ted's personal library of LinkedIn messages. I've been going through Ted's class on this about how you message directly to people to be able to get them to respond. If you have tried to do that on LinkedIn, you know that it's a sticky wicket, and Ted is the master of that. I'll personally review your sales script and checklist. I promise you this, you have a script, whether you have one written down or not. And if you're not closing, your script sucks, okay? And you need a script that is going to work. I have written scripts in 30 different niches. I have written scripts for intake. I've written them for phone rooms. I've written them for one-on-one consults. I've trained a lot of the folks that you see out there that are doing like these one-on-one consults. A lot. I'm going to tell you right now, I've done work with a lot of them. You know, I took Perry's team that was selling, their highest end was like maybe 8,000 to their highest end within 18 months was $250,000. All through scripting, all through setting up these hurdles. You're going to learn exactly how to do that. And then you're going to get 3 months complimentary access to Ted's weekly business accelerator action, which is a $297 value. This is $497. I'll tell you right now, if and when the time comes that we release this out to more general public, I'm not letting that go for $497. I will wrestle Ted in Jello to make sure that we don't charge as little as $497. And we might live stream it, Ted.
Have to.
There we go. And then the platinum level is going to be everything plus these bonuses. You're going to get a bonus module on how to get referrals. Obviously, in today's day and age, referrals are key. If you go to my LinkedIn page, you'll see that I have a lot of people that have marked me as an expert. I have, I think, 4 or 5 classifications where I have over 100 people that have marked me as an expert in those classifications. And I think I have at least 11 recommendations. And I'm working on getting more. But how do you get more and more referrals? I have some fairly big name speakers that have even given me personal videos. Bonus module on how to scale your business or team. I've done this a couple of times. I've done this virtually and I've done it face-to-face. In the ED clinics, we went from 0 employees to within 18 months, I had almost 40 employees. How do you set the culture? How do you do all of that? I've even done it with virtual teams. I've run big virtual teams when I had my real estate investing company. Bonus module on how to overcome objections. You just got a sample of that. And record your first 2 consults, and I will sit down and review and coach you on those. And I'll also do a one-on-one call for role planning. So, just like I was telling you that I would sit down with these great speakers, and okay, so maybe their ethics weren't that great, but I learned a lot about how to sell and how to write scripts. So I'm going to break down your first 2 consults. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit painful, but we're going to sit down on the phone. We're going to record it, my conversation with you, and we're going to break it down. Okay, I'll sit and listen to it, and then I'm going to walk you through it. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're saying things, you're doing things that are taking people away from the path of wanting to buy from you. If you do anything to divert people off of that path of wanting to buy from you, then you are going to lose your sale, and you've got to keep them going down this path. Again, there's a very specific psychology. It comes back to your script. And this is going to make all the difference in the world of you closing. So that's $997. I don't even know if we'll offer that one again, because my time is worth a lot. I do charge $6,000 a month and $8,000 a day for my services. Okay. And that's my higher end. I do have one where I charge $2,000 a month, but it's very little access to me. Basically, I'm just telling them what to do a couple of times a month. That's it. I don't do any of the work for them. They got to go do it all. And it's like basically 2 30-minute calls a month. That's it. So you can do the hourly rate on that. I'm telling you that to brag a little bit. I'm telling you that to be factual. Okay. So I can promise you, if I'm going to do one-on-ones in the future, this price is going to go up significantly. Okay. Probably into the $20,000 to $25,000 range for the year. For that to happen, somewhere in that. Again, Ted and I haven't talked about it. I'm just telling you where I would put it because of where I see the value. So go to dmclassroom.com/SWS. The last thing I'm going to tell you is this, is that every day you get to make choices. We all know this, right? And here's the question I'm going to ask you. Are you happy? Are you happy right now with the amount of money that you're making? Because if you're not happy with the amount of money that you're making, and you are feeling and you know that your skill set to be able to sell is not where it needs to be and it can be drastically improved, then you are being given a golden opportunity to learn from someone who has done it over and over again. So take advantage of this. Don't let logic get in the way, okay? Making money is an emotional thing. And I can tell you, having money coming in, having clients are going to pay you every single month, you're going to sleep better, you're going to drink less coffee, or you'll drink less of maybe alcohol or whatever you do to kind of relax or get over it. If you have a spouse in the house, you're going to be nicer to that person. I know this because I've been there, and so has Ted. So we're looking forward to this, and take advantage of this, dmclassroom.com/SWS. All right, there you go, folks. Anything else, Ted?
No, I don't see any questions.
All right.
That's it. So we'll have a great weekend, everybody. We'll hope to see you Monday in the class. And if you have any questions, just reach out to either one of us. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook. You've got our emails. You can just reply to the invitation you got to this.
Awesome. Great, Ted. Thanks.
Thanks. Have a great weekend.
Bye.